Hey everyone, welcome back to Jillian on Love. I am really excited about today's guest, and I think all of you are going to go nuts over this conversation, over this person. I welcome David Ghiyam. He is the co-founder of MaryRuth Organics and the leading expert and teacher of the wisdom of Kabbalah. And we have a conversation about manifestation, soulmates, getting over your ex, our soul's purpose, manifesting money, and the difference between free will and manifestation, the difference between choosing versus attracting. And I think I'm going to put money on the fact that I think this is going to be one of your favorite episodes. So without further ado, David Ghiyam. Do you know that this is my first in-person Jillian on Love?
Yeah, I was shocked because we just spoke about that, and I was so honored that you allowed me to be your first.
I am so honored to have you. So let's get right into it, shall we?
Please.
I want to know your take on manifestation, because that is a big word that's thrown around a lot lately, and you talk about it. And then we're going to get into a lot of things today. I want to talk about manifesting love or inviting love into our lives. I want to talk about abundance and money. Mm-hmm. And I want to talk about the energetics and the spiritual aspect of heartbreak and moving on and forgiveness. Beautiful. So I know that's a lot, but I want to start with this idea of manifestation and what in your view it actually means, and how do you see it being used today that you think is not right?
Okay. So, and by the way, maybe even before I begin, I want to understand the audience that is listening to this. Maybe you can tell me really quickly, who is hearing this? What kind of soul are they? What are they going through? Because manifestation is so broad, we can go in so many different directions.
I know. These are people who are interested in personal development and becoming better people. I think that I don't know if everyone listening to this believes that there is a soul. So when I use the word soul, I'm using it metaphorically, not necessarily literally. So I think that everyone who listens to this is a deep soul. Okay. And I think these are people who really want to better the quality of their relationships, very specifically romantic. So some people are single, some people are heartbroken, some people are in relationships. And I think everyone is interested in money.
All right. So people,
and everyone's interested in love.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So maybe what I'll do is I'll share a short background of where I come from and the philosophies that would be great that I've inherited. And so that will lead into kind of the spiritual understanding of how I approach manifestation, both in the category of love and in abundance. When I was 15 years old, I found a spiritual path called Kabbalah. Uncle introduced me to it, and I was completely enamored by it. And basically, Kabbalah is the universal spiritual secrets of the soul, meaning why we came to this world, what is our purpose, and how do we manifest the receiving of all the fulfillment that truly is our birthright. And I went on this journey when I was 20 years old. I graduated UCLA, and I realized instead of kind of going into the business world, I wanted to go into the nonprofit world to teach this wisdom. So I traveled the world. I've taught thousands of seminars, and I did personal coaching, pretty much 30,000 hours of that as well. And I did it all for charity, by the greatest part of my life. I was 29, I got married to MaryRuth, and we happened to, on the side, build a brand called MaryRuth Organics, which I'm sure some of your audience is familiar with. This business grew for the last 11 years. It's one of the leading vitamin companies in the world. And so I now, in my life, I'm 41 now, I'm in this juxtaposition of spending half my time kind of bringing spiritual wisdom of Kabbalah to the world and how it relates to our soul's purpose, our destiny, and especially the manifestation of relationships and love, how a person finds their soulmate, which is something we can talk about today, as well as people want to know, well, how do you manifest abundance? How do I scale a company beyond just being talented or hardworking? There are spiritual forces at work that help us earn abundance in a big way. How do we create miracles? How do we align all these universal forces in this world? Because there's much more than what our eyes can see, what our ears can hear. beyond our five senses, there's a whole nother dimension of the unseen. And in the same way that there's gravity, which is a physical law of this physical world, there are spiritual laws in this world that if you can abide by them, you can manifest the life that you want. So that's kind of my background. Mm-hmm. There's one premise that I'll start with for people who maybe don't know what a soul is or if a soul even exists. The premise of Kabbalah is that there's a universal force of energy in this world. Some people call it God. Some people call it the universe. Some people call it nature. The Kabbalists call it the creator. There's a force of the creator which is good. It is there to completely fulfill, and there's no negativity in this force.
So it's like a higher power.
Just
like
a
some
higher
people,
power.
yeah.
And it is endless, it is everywhere, and it is agnostic to religion or culture or who you come from, if you're a good person or a bad person. There's no such thing as a good person or a bad person. There's just an endless force. In the same way there's electricity here in the socket, where if I stick my finger in this electricity and I shock myself, you would never say that the electricity punished you. But if I can plug all these cameras in or my laptop in, I'm now utilizing this energy, this force in a very positive way. So the energy itself is intrinsically positive. This force has created one soul, which is a desire to receive this energy. And this one soul has shattered into the billions of souls that we have in this world. And we came to this world essentially as separate entities, separate souls in separate bodies for one express purpose, which is to earn this light spiritually and physically. Why aren't we just born with our soulmates? Why aren't we just born knowing how to do everything? Why is it a struggle? Why are things not revealed to us? Why do we go through pain? Why do we attract people who are abusive or who bring out the best in us? Why doesn't a person on day one just feel attracted to all the right things and feel repelled by all the wrong things? So these are questions that the great sages for thousands of years have asked. And that is because our soul chose to come to a world of darkness so that we could have the free will to reveal this energy ourselves. So it needs to be concealed from us. You cannot know who your soulmate is until you have gone through a process of transformation and earning this. That is the premise of what Kabbalah teaches. Now I'll go one more step. What does it mean to earn abundance? What does it mean to earn your soulmate? What does it mean to earn clarity or certainty, wisdom, all the things that people are looking for? The one thing is the way to earn is to become like the creator, which means what are the qualities of the creator? Then I must become like those qualities. And our soul came to this world with spiritual baggage. So what is the spiritual baggage? The Kabbalists call it tikkun, correction. All the fears that we have are fears that our soul brought into this world to transform. When you transform these fears, when you transform this negativity or the emptiness inside, then you have now aligned yourself with the vibration of the creator, and now you will attract a new destiny, new circumstances that are more and more fulfilling. Essentially, that's what it is. So, for example, let's say a person came to this world, their soul brought into this world the fear of abandonment. That soul will then pick parents that are conducive to awaken that fear. It is not that because your parents got divorced, or your parents were absent, or your parents were abusive, that you developed this condition. The sages say that your soul came to this world with this baggage already, with these fears already. And
from a past life?
From a past life. So the soul keeps coming until it fully corrects itself. And this is why there's so many ways we can go with this, but this is why we have like a deja vu. We have feelings and we see things, and you hear even people who leave this world for a moment and they come back, they see things and they see beyond this world. There is a continuum of souls coming back, a wheel of the soul, in order to fully correct itself. And you will attract the same patterns, the same types of relationships, the same circumstances until you reach your perfection. So the soul is actually choosing on day one the parents, and every relationship it will ever have, it is pre-choosing this destiny that is best to awaken its negativity, its fears, its insecurities, because you cannot transform what you cannot see. So we need to experience this reality in order to see what we need to transform, take full responsibility for it, which I know you speak in depth about in your book, and then align with this vibration, which is this wholeness of the light of the creator.
But then is there free will through the lens of Kabbalah?
What a great question.
This episode is sponsored by 3 Day Blinds. It's 2025. Are your blinds still from 2005? There's a better way to buy blinds, shades, shutters, and drapery, and it's called 3 Day Blinds. I mean, I use blinds, but I also have shutters, I have shades, I must have blackout shades when I sleep. And 3 Day Blinds are the leading manufacturer of high quality custom window treatments in the US. And right now, if you use my URL, 3dayblinds.com/Jillian, they are running a buy one, get one 50% off deal. And they're amazing. We can shop for almost anything at home. So why not shop for blinds at home too? 3 Day Blinds has local professionally trained design consultants who have an average of 10 plus years of experience that provide expert guidance on the right blinds for you in the comfort of your home. And if you're not very handy like me, the expert team at 3 Day Blinds handles all the heavy lifting. They design, they measure, they install. So you can just sit back, relax, and leave it to them. So right now, get quality window treatments that fit your budget with 3 Day Blinds. Head to 3dayblinds.com/Jillian for their buy one, get one 50% off deal on custom blinds, shades, shutters, and drapery for a free, no charge, no obligation consultation. Just head to 3dayblinds.com/Jillian. One last time, that's buy one, get one 50% off when you head to the number 3, DAY, blinds.com/Jillian.
Yes, there is free will, and no, there is not. So I'll explain. When you are born, you have essentially pre-written infinite destinies. So imagine like you go to a movie theater. When you go to a movie theater, there's 10 movies playing, and each movie is very different, but each movie is already pre-written. If you walk into the first movie, the actors, the script, it's all done. You cannot change it. If you don't like the movie, you cannot have Robert De Niro, for example, change his dialogue. That movie is set. Now, if you don't like the movie, you can leave that movie and go to a different movie that is also pre-written. So when we are born, we have, imagine, infinite destinies that are pre-written. Each destiny is better. If you climb up, it's better than the one before. Right now, imagine someone is married and they're having a difficult time with their husband and there's challenges. So what our brain tells us is, well, I need to change this dynamic. I need to change my husband. I need to change this marriage. I'm not happy. You cannot actually change your husband. You cannot change this movie. It's already pre-written. What you can do is shift to the destiny that's right above that, which includes maybe your husband, but a better version of him. The way you shift is the question. So the only way you can shift up or down in a destiny is in a moment of pain or lack. That is the test. That is the moment free will comes in. As soon as you feel pain, you have the free will to act like the creator, to act from a place of wholeness, to act from a giving place, to act from a place of love. And then Kabbalah goes in depth about how to do this. Or to be reactive, to come from a place of fear, lack. Like we were talking just right now about dating, and I asked you if you're dating. And you said something very profound. You said, you got to a place where you didn't feel the need to date, which is very powerful, because if you approach dating because you need that energy, so you're basically approaching it from the opposite vibration of what the creator is, which is an energy of wholeness. So you will never attract a soulmate if you need a soulmate. You will only attract the lower destinies of people who are there to remind you that you're doing it wrong.
Okay.
I know this was a lot.
No. This is good. And look, the parallels here are, and this is all ancient wisdom,
yes,
which is that the role of the ego, and then moving from our lower mind to our higher mind,
yes,
and that every opportunity we are given, every situation we're given an opportunity. Am I going to respond from a place of wisdom and of maturity, or am I going to react from a place of fear?
Correct.
Right? So this conundrum, or this challenge that we have between choosing love or fear, is something that's always and self-awareness. It's all in ancient wisdom. So there's so many places that we can go with this, but you mentioned the word soulmate a couple of times.
Yes.
So I want to share my interpretation of a soulmate,
Please.
and then I want to hear what you have to say. And then there's something else that I want to also ask, which we'll get to in a minute, which is there are people who are in pain and suffering and do meet the love of their lives. So I want to, in a minute, talk about the energetics behind that, because I think that so let me backtrack.
There's a lot. There's a lot
but this is important stuff, because...
And there could be 10 parts to this podcast, and this is usually what happens, because you're inundated with thousands of questions. So we can go one by one, and happy to address all of them.
Well, I want to specifically curate it for the audience, right? So there's one thing which is where I struggle with law of attraction and manifestation is, while I agree that when I raise my frequency, and how I interpret that is when I'm in a better mood, when I'm not trying to force, when I'm not trying to control, and I let things just sort of happen. That doesn't mean that I don't go into action, but I go into action from an emotional state that is filled with determination and certainty.
Beautiful.
Versus action out of fear and out of anxiety and out of control and all of that.
Correct.
So there's no question that when I live my life from the first and not the latter, then life is better.
You've noticed that empirically.
I absolutely noticed that.
Yeah.
But I also believe that miracles can happen in the sense, and this is my interpretation, which is we can be having a bad day. We could be in our lower selves. We can be in control. We can be in fear. And someone just smiles at us on the street, or we have a good conversation with someone, and everything is turned around. To me, that is grace. To me, that is a miracle. If law of attraction was what it was, then I would just be attracting, shit pile on top of shit pile. And
you're just saying about yourself.
Yeah, like if I'm in that state. So I have noticed, so I guess I just...
So we can break that down.
Yeah, I just feel like it has to be so much more nuanced. I know people who are depressed, who are sad, and then they meet the love of their lives.
Okay, so let's break that down.
Yeah.
So we can all agree that when we are of the vibration of, let's say, these qualities that the Creator represent, which is a strength, certainty, love, coming from a giving place, this vibration statistically will always attract a better reality, right? And we can scientifically prove that.
Or create a better reality.
Create a better reality, 100%.
Yeah.
Everybody believes that. In fact, when you are going to, let's say, invite people to an event or a party of yours, and you're looking at the list of people you want to invite, if there's someone that's always sad, depressed, creating drama, always negative, because when you're sad and you're in a victim consciousness, you're most likely going to complain more. You're most likely going to look to take, because you're coming from a place of lack.
Some people who are depressed are actually very quietly depressed and are not taking anything from anyone.
Explain that.
There are some people, when they're depressed, they don't want to be a burden. I mean, that's really ultimately why people take their lives, is because they feel like they're a burden to others.
Correct.
And so they are quietly suffering. So I just wanted to add that little nuance. Yes, there's the negative drama person who is negative. That's the person who's always like a victim, who's always complaining. The depressed person can be that person, but they could also be the person who is like, you just would never know, and they take nothing. Absolutely. And that's part of the problem, is that they don't take enough.
Right. So that could be a whole nother category.
That's a whole other category. But I just wanted to kind of throw that in for people.
So we can talk about that category. Yeah. So I would say.
No, let's keep tracking.
So in general, if you're of this high vibration, you will be attracting or creating these beautiful realities, right? Because now you are essentially coming to this. You're achieving. You're tapping into the life that your soul was always meant to, in order to earn this light of the Creator, which removes the darkness.
Yes.
Now, what happens when I decide to come from a reactive place? So reactive, by definition, is any thought, word, or action which comes from fear or lack. So a test occurs. Let's say, for example, what would be a test that you notice people go through in relationships? It can be anything at all.
A test?
Maybe it can be heartbreak, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, well, I think it could be, a test could be as
a moment your lack comes up.
Yeah, when you're single, for sure.
So what comes up?
For a lot of people, what comes up is lack.
So what thoughts come to this person, maybe?
I'm never going to meet any fear. So it's, I'm never going to meet anyone. There's no one out there for me. This is going to take forever. All men are unavailable, or women are this. You know,
Beautiful.
There's lots of stuff.
So let's say the archetype of this person. Let's say it's a woman who is how old?
Let's just say
make
she's
it as practical as possible.
33.
Okay, she's 33. And then all of a sudden, there's a moment where these thoughts come to her, right? And what's happening at that moment is her soul came to this world for that exact moment. That's her test. The thoughts of lack come up. Without spirituality or without the wisdom that you're teaching, most people will simply react to these thoughts. So they will immediately look for a way to soothe their pain, look for instant gratification, take energy to not feel this way. So they will search and seek out the man that will help fulfill them to remove this pain. Oh my God, I'm gonna be alone forever. Where is he? Oh my God, I'm getting older. I need to have children. I must immediately go freeze my eggs. Like all of a sudden, these thoughts start coming in of how to soothe the pain. So the sages say that moment is actually the test that your soul came to this world to correct. You can transform this negativity inside of you by literally doing the opposite, sitting in the pain and actually connecting to an energy of wholeness and saying, you know what? I actually don't need any of that. I am perfect the way I am. I'm whole the way I am. And I want to now connect to the vibration of the creator. Imagine your soulmate is actually the creator, this infinite force. That's what you plug into. So what happens is your vibration totally changes, your auric field totally changes, your destinies changes, and that's what magnetizes the actual person that you would want to be with.
Is not needing them.
Is not needing them and transforming the need for them or anyone. This thought that someone on the outside is going to solve my problems or heal my pain, we have seen that even if you got what you wanted, that same pain comes back in a different shape or form.
That's
essentially what we're saying.
Yeah, it's essentially what I talk about all the time.
Yeah, you and I, because I've connected with your wisdom for so long, actually, because I found you 3 years ago. We are saying essentially the same thing. The added dimension of what Kabbalah brings in is the why. Why all of a sudden at the age of 33, 10 days after my birthday, am I going through this? So Kabbalah is just explaining that your soul was meant to, since the beginning of time, go through that. You mentioned something about suicide. Every time I've shared this in 20 years, I've always gotten a message from someone who was contemplating suicide who said that this message changed their mind about it. Every time, and I shared this on Lewis's podcast, and the same thing happened. I'll share it here because you brought it up. When a person desires to take their life, where is this desire coming from all of a sudden? Obviously, there's been a lot of pain, there's been a lot of loss, there's been a lot of suffering, and they came to this moment that maybe at the age of 38, in 3 months, 3 days at 10:20 a.m., they had this thought that there's no reason for me to stay in this world. The reason spiritually that happens at that moment is because in a past life, and maybe many times before, that exact same desire came up, that exact same scenario came up, and truthfully, just if you could see 10 minutes later, 10 days later, maybe even 10 months later, this person was supposed to have the most miraculous, beautiful life. But often, before something great is revealed, the greatest darkness must come as well. And so, last life, at that exact age, at the exact time they took their life, when the soul left the limitations of the body, the soul saw that the whole thing was actually perfectly designed to bring them to their greatness. That moment they chose to leave was a moment now that has to be repeated. And so they come back. So what is the message for a person who feels this way? To realize that everything you will want is waiting for you and it is coming, but you are not allowed to see it because you must have the free will to choose that. If everything was given to us and shown to us, we would have shame. When a person does something for us and takes away our free will to do it, we have shame. I have kids, and I remember when they started walking, someone said, if you catch them every time they fall, if their knees don't hit the floor, They will never learn balance.
Yeah.
They will never understand their equilibrium. So if I just took care of all my children's pain, if every time I had a puzzle, I actually built the puzzle for them and presented the puzzle to them, they would hate me as the parent. And so there's a spiritual law. Anyone who gives us too much and takes away our free will, we end up resenting. We will always resent the person who gives us too much.
Oh my God, wait a second. Okay, can we pause for a moment? Because you just said something really important, because I want to bring this back to a relational context.
Yeah.
I want to talk specifically to the people who struggle with some codependency, or codependency aside, just have this belief system, which is not their fault. This is just conditioning, that if you just give more to the person who is either in a dating scenario not invested in you, or in a relationship has huge problems that they need to deal with. In other words, if you're enabling them, if you're giving more, that actually obstructs attraction.
Correct.
You literally will be less attracted to this person, and because you will be resentful.
Yes.
Because you are, I believe that everyone on a deep level wants to face their own challenges, like knows on a deep, maybe unconscious level, that if they're not solving their problems with help, right? I do believe when you love someone, you're supposed to be very supportive and to be, in many ways, a guide for them to help them navigate that which they have to navigate. But when we try to do that for someone else, when we try to fix their problems, when we try to rescue someone, like that person is not growing more in love with you. It's the opposite.
It is the opposite. You're 100% correct.
But that does not mean that you act like you don't care. You can care. You can say, this is what I'm seeing. I love you. I want to be there for you. But when you abandon your own self in order to just be a giver to someone else who and try to fix them, it never works.
This episode is sponsored by Function. Function is an all-in-one health platform that starts with over 100 advanced lab tests covering your entire body: heart, hormones, liver, kidneys, thyroid, autoimmunity, cancer signals, toxins, nutrients, and more. I have learned as I've gotten older that ownership of my health is incredibly important. And Function Health is about taking control of your health through data. And you don't want to guess, and you don't want to use Google. You need data. Function helps you know for sure, providing access to over 100 advanced lab tests. And most traditional annual checkups only cover about 19 biomarkers. Function Health goes 5 times deeper, giving a comprehensive view that allows you to catch any potential issues early and take proactive action on things that might have been troubling you. No bias, just facts. Function doesn't sell supplements or subscriptions. The insights you get are unbiased and solely focused on your health. And at $499 annually, the membership includes the cost of all lab tests through their nationwide lab partner. And it's for all ages and genders. Function currently has a wait list, but they are offering my audience the chance to skip it. So you can head to functionhealth.com/JOL or enter code JOL when signing up to skip the wait list.
This is 100% true, and this is a spiritual law, and I can share why this is true, because we see this, and sometimes people need to experience it to realize how true it is. But the spiritual reason why this is true is when the Creator created us, He gave us endlessly. But the soul that received initially, before we came to this physical world, the soul that received said, wait, this is amazing that I receive everything, but because I came from the Creator, I have a spark of the Creator inside me. And in this relationship, I'm just receiving, and there is no space for me to create. So the soul felt shame. Kabbalists call it the bread of shame. There's a shame that is felt when you receive something that you have not earned, that you do not have the capacity to receive, that you do not appreciate. You start to feel shame. So for example, it's like if you got promoted in your job, but then you walked by your boss's office and you found out, and you heard your dad in the office with your boss, and your dad was saying to your boss, thank you so much. I know my daughter didn't really, deserve this promotion.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Here's a check for you. And I really appreciate that. As soon as you hear that, you feel not happiness. You're not thinking, wow, my dad really loves me. You're thinking, wow, my dad, you feel shame. You feel my dad actually took away my ability to create my own life.
Yes.
In fact, most children who are born to very wealthy or accommodating families,
they grow up and some of them become drug addicts.
They turn to drugs. There's a history of depression as a result. They look for the next fix because the parents gave more than the vessel could receive, and the vessel did not earn. So all of a sudden, when a father is giving an unlimited credit card to a child or bailing out the child every time there's a problem, the child has now not earned this energy. If a child takes over his father's business or mother's business at a young age, and all of a sudden receives all of this wealth and responsibility, the child now experiences bread of shame. And so going back to the story of creation, the soul told the creator, as much as I love all of this, I'm going to reject this. And this rejection of the energy is what created the Big Bang, the physical and spiritual Big Bang. So actually, this is where kind of creation begins, life begins. The soul pushing back on this energy, saying no to the giver, saying, I want this space to be my own creator. I want to correct this feeling of shame. So the soul came to the world of darkness to correct that. Now, in a relationship, when we recreate this scenario, when someone overgives to
or
a person,
turns someone into a project, which is what a lot of people do.
Correct. This transfer of energy where there's no vessel to receive it recreates the same scenario where you inundate the vessel and you literally flood it. And so the vessel cannot receive, there's no manifestation. So if this is like an 8-ounce glass, water is great, but if somebody pours 16 ounces of water in an 8-ounce glass, we have chaos. And so I remember in New York when I was doing coaching, I was coaching this guy through relationships, and he finally found this woman that he absolutely adored. And within 3-4 weeks, he was telling me all about her, and I said, well, I would love to meet her, I would see who she is. And she came to a meeting, and I remember seeing that she had this watch on, beautiful watch, but it was like a male watch. I said, oh, that's a beautiful watch. It was probably like a $10,000 Rolex. And she's like, yeah, Jim gave it to me. I said, oh, that's so nice. And then I found out later that she also had Jim's credit card and things were happening. So I went to Jim. I said, Jim, it's very interesting. I've seen you be with women before. I've really never seen a woman get a watch or even a credit card within 4 weeks.
It was just 4 weeks?
Just 4 weeks of dating. Uh-huh. He's like, David, I adore her. I love her. I would do anything for her. And so I wanted to, I want her to be taken care of. So I said to him, I said, Jim, you have to understand something. Your soul came to this world with a fear of abandonment. One of the ways you've been reacting to your fear of abandonment, as opposed to transforming it, is you've been very avoidant and you've had walls up and with other women in the past. That's one way you are reacting, not dealing with it. Now you finally found someone that is so amazing, your fears are coming up. And instead of addressing those fears of losing her, you are now giving all of these things to her, but you're not really giving because
you're trying to buy her.
You're trying to control her. You're trying to manipulate her, and you're avoiding your spiritual work. She came into
You're just trying to lock it down.
Trying to lock it down and not deal with the real reason why she came into your life. The Creator sent her to your life, not even for you to get married to her, only to awaken your fear of abandonment. Now that's the work we need to do. The watch, the credit card, is you avoiding this work. And here's the other thing. She now is going to lose attraction for him, just like you said. Mm-hmm. Why? Because everyone is attracted to the vibration of the light of the Creator, that wholeness, that force that is not reactive, not coming from fear. She's now feeling every day, wait a minute, his vibration is going down. She doesn't know why necessarily. And she's kind of happy and maybe in the flow. She's
sensing it.
She's sensing it on a very deep level.
Yeah.
So over time, she's not going to respect him, not going to appreciate him, and because he's not doing his work of elevating to this place. Instead, he is reacting to his fears, even though she's getting everything she thinks she wants.
Yes.
So that's the way we kind of address it. It's not what you do, it's truly why you're doing it, where you're coming from. I'll give you another example. Let's say you just broke up.
Can I, before
please.
you do that, I just want to say, you can still give the $10,000 watch and the credit card, but it's coming later when you feel secure, when you really truly love the person. It's not obsessiveness, and you're giving it because you have the means to give it, and you want to to give that gift. So I just want to put that message out, because
that is 100% true.
You don't want to be a withholder of yes.
You don't want to be a withholder. And I'll add even one more thing to that, which is, let's say you're from a secure place and you're really doing it from a place of love. There's one added element that will make it even more powerful, which is that which you give, does it empower them to become the greatest version of themselves? Or is it just because you feel like you just feel generous and you want to give? This is also very important, because everything we do, we should be conscious of how does this help them become the greatest version of themselves as well. Because I could be coming from a whole place and loving place, and I could be writing $100,000 check to the person I'm dating. But what if she now says, well, I have the money, so I'm not going to, pursue things that are my passion. She now is not going to actually find her soul's purpose because she feels the comfort of this money as well. So we have to be careful that even if we're coming from the right place, we aren't enabling someone not to be the greatest version of themselves. It's just an added element.
Right. And then, which is an important added element, but also sometimes giving the money is actually what helps someone to become the creator.
Potentially, yeah. And this is just a question we need to ask.
It's just we need to ask, where is this coming from? I think this is something that a lot of men do, especially men who have a little bit of money or have some money. When they're dating, they want to impress, especially if they're dating a woman, they want to impress her.
Yeah.
I see it all the time. I've seen in clients all the time. I've had endless conversations with men about this.
Correct.
So it's like, let me show that I can have. It's also the messaging. Let me relay the message that I am high value. I put that in huge quotation marks, because there's some providership. Yeah. I have some money, so that's actually going to be attractive. That is
going to be attractive.
Yes.
And I've heard you say this, because the most attractive quality in a man will be when he doesn't have anything to prove. Meaning, and people feel this, if I go out on a date and I start to be inauthentic or flex or try to show, or maybe pick her up in my nicest car, or even I've seen some people rent a nice car, they kind of go out of their way.
Yes.
And it's not really their authentic vibration. What you could be doing is actually manipulating someone to like you, when in reality, she wasn't ever meant to be with you for a long period of time. But now you've overridden what the creation is trying to do for you in manipulating the scenario.
Yes.
So, if I go out on a date, I truly don't know who's meant to be with me, and I have to surrender that. Now, I will go to be the best version of myself, and I'll go show up in the right light. But we have to be careful, because you could work really hard to try to get someone to love you. But what if their soul was not meant to be with you for that long? Or what if that person's going to be very destructive in your life? Again, it is approaching everything with that openness.
And that's happening all the time. Working so hard to get someone to be into you and to like you, to be interested in you, and they could be completely wrong for you.
And how do you know?
Yeah.
So the only thing that's left to do is just our work and coming from the right place and overcoming our fears and tapping into that vibration. The rest will follow. It's very hard to trust that, but this is our work.
Yeah. I know you had another example. I just want to bring this back to soulmate, and definitions around soulmate, because I get this question all the time. Do you believe in twin? I don't even understand what a twin flame is.
I've heard so many definitions of it myself.
I don't even know what that means. When I think about a soulmate, I think that, so one of the messages that I share often everywhere, and I would love to hear your perspective on it, is that there's no such thing as the one.
Yeah.
And that there are many the ones.
Yeah.
There's the one who you fell in love with when you were 17. Yeah. There's the one who you married and then you later divorced.
Yeah.
There's the one that maybe you meet later in life. I mean, there's potentially many the ones.
Yes.
Not everyone's path is different. Some people get married to their high school sweetheart. I think that's very rare these days, but it does happen.
Yeah.
So, but I don't like this idea of like the one soulmate who's going to come into your life and everything is going to get better. So this comes back to the free will conversation. Yeah. I struggle with the language of who am I attracting into my life versus who am I actively choosing to be in my life?
Correct.
So at what point, what is a soulmate from your perspective? And also, what is the difference and how can we differentiate between who we're attracting to our lives versus, no, you are the creator of your destiny, so this is who you're choosing.
Yes. So you're saying a couple of very beautiful and aligned, beautiful things and very aligned with Kabbalistic teaching. So to understand what a soulmate is.
Maybe I should become a rabbi.
I'm telling you, I think anything you do at this point is going to work, to be honest. So, with the right vibration, it all works.
Exactly. It has to be the right vibration. Yes.
So let's understand a soulmate. Imagine my soul came to this world with these soul corrections. Like we said, let's say fear of abandonment or jealousy, anger. People have the baggage of stuff. If my soul doesn't correct this purse of qualities, negative qualities, so my soul has to come back and fix it. But what a lot of people don't know is this soul often fragments in the next life. So my soul could break up into 4 souls, and each of it takes, let's say, to make it simple, 25% of this soul correction. It was deemed that you couldn't handle all of it, so now it needs to be fragmented and split up into 4 souls. Now imagine there's 4 aspects of me that come into another life, 4 new bodies, can be anywhere in the world. Technically, these are soulmates. And it can come as a male, it can come as a female.
Can it come as a parent, or are we just talking romantic?
Okay, so it can come in so many different ways. It can come as your child. It can come
as my dog.
It can come as, if you want to go there, it can come as a dog as well. I've made videos.
My dog is my soulmate.
You know what? There's not one person I've met who has a dog who does not believe that the dog is human in some way. Yeah. Because sometimes souls will reincarnate into the animal kingdom, even the plant and mineral kingdom, and eventually, for whatever reason that happened, which is a whole nother discussion.
Yes.
But this, let's say your dog, the reason why that soul entered that dog and came to you is because the dog realized that you are the best for it to elevate to its next incarnation as a human. So how does it do that? It serves you. So you really feel a strong soul connection with your dog, and it's a he or she?
She.
She knows why she's here. She's here to serve you in all the ways, and maybe sometimes even to trigger you. But once she has done her mission, that soul of that animal will elevate into a human kingdom and can come, for example, into an unborn child. It can come into a man you meet. It can even attach itself to some of your friends. Like, it's very interesting when you start to learn about how souls operate in the unseen world. We'll have to talk about this
another time.
This is a whole different podcast.
It's a whole different.
This is why I'm saying I go down these paths and we end up doing like five more of these.
We'll do a second one because I do, and I want to take a poll from the audience if they want to hear.
Because your audience is going to tell you, I want to learn more about this.
Yeah,
that's what
I'm going to find out because I really want to go into
yes.
I don't like the idea of like my mom who passed being on this plane as another soul. Like, I want to know that she's like still talking to me and around me.
Okay, so she is doing that also because there's different parts of her as well. So this is very deep.
Okay. So we'll do this. Okay, let's get back to soulmates, on romantic relationships, and the one.
Okay. So getting back to that. So basically, when your soul comes to this world, it has all these destinies and all these people it's already planned to meet. Everyone is a soulmate, right? Every soul that is elevating you from point A to point B to point C has already been designed as a part of your soul to do that.
Yes.
So
the person who completely destroys your heart
is your soulmate.
Is a soulmate.
Is an aspect of your soulmate.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Okay, let's talk numbers. Traditional in-person therapy can cost anywhere from $100 to $250 per session, and sometimes a lot more, which adds up fast. But with BetterHelp Online Therapy, you can save on average up to 50% per session. With BetterHelp, you pay a flat fee for weekly sessions, saving you big on cost and on time. The thing is that therapy should feel accessible. It should not feel like a luxury. And with online therapy, you can get quality care at a price that makes sense and can help you with anything from just everyday stress to more severe anxiety. Your mental health is worth it, and now it's within reach. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. And it's convenient. You can just join a session with the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life. Plus, you can switch therapists at any time. Your well-being is worth it. Visit BetterHelp.com/onlove to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp. HELP.com/onlove.
This destruction of the heart is not happening by anyone else. everything is happening to illuminate the part of us that hasn't reached this perfection. For example, when I go to the dentist and the dentist is poking around in my teeth, and if there's a cavity and that tooth hurts, he's gonna touch that tooth. I'm not gonna tell the dentist to be like, hey, excuse me, like, why are you causing me pain? Like, why are you touching that tooth? He said, well, all your teeth are great, but this one is a problem, so we're gonna work on this. You wouldn't say to the dentist, you know what? Why do you gotta always focus on the negative? Why can't we just focus on all the good teeth I have? But every time I come here, you always find something that's wrong with my mouth. You would never say that to the dentist. The job of the dentist is to highlight the cavity, to highlight where the darkness is, to highlight what needs to be repaired. And so every relationship is a dentist. And there's gonna be these amazing qualities, and the whole point of it is to reach a place of healing. But the parts of you that still have a cavity in the soul will be highlighted in any relationship. The challenge becomes, if your whole mouth is filled with cavities, you might have to have a whole reconstructive surgery.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be painful, and that's gonna be hours, that's gonna be anesthesia, that's gonna be Novocaine, that's gonna be needles. But at no point do you say the dentist destroyed me. And so when we look at it from that point of view, what we have to understand is if you do the work on yourself and you heal yourself and you reach these higher levels of certainty and love, no one will destroy you because there's nothing to destroy anymore. And the analogy I make is, everybody wants their queen or their king.
I know.
This is
that language drives me up.
Drives it bananas, right?
It drives me berserk. And I'll tell you the number one reason why it drives me berserk. Are you in order to get that person who you think is a king or a queen, who do you think you have to be?
Right. So,
but I also just think like it's language that just bothers me a lot.
Yes, and so when people use this kind of language, I just try to lean into it. I say, okay, well, let's play this out. If you are a queen and you're looking for your king, we have to understand something about queens. I've never seen a queen that you could just easily access. Right? Queens and kings have guards around them, security. There's fences to get to the king's chamber. The amount you have to do to get past to the king's chamber is incredible.
And they also have to separate themselves from their emotions in many ways in order to
reach this vibration.
Absolutely.
So that's getting into the solution part of it. Because I say, if someone was able to get to you, to hurt you, to abuse you, to break your heart, my question is, how did he get past the queen's guards? If you are a queen, you have guards around you. You have angels literally around you. You have guardian angels. It could be even your mom. It could be your dad who passed away, who actually protects you. But these angels, these guardian angels, can only be there if there's an affinity of form with vibration. Because when a soul has left this world, they're on a very high vibration. They don't have the limitations of the body anymore. So for your mom to be your guardian angel, you have to have some affinity of form with your mom or any group of forces. So the fact that a man was able to get through all the guards to get to you is indication you're not acting like the queen. You're not acting like royalty. You're not acting with a wholeness inside. You're acting more like the peasant. The peasant doesn't have any guards around them, and you can access the peasant at any time, at any place. And this goes into, do you value your time? Do you value who you are? Do you know your power? Do you love yourself? Right? All those things that we talk about, that's what fits into that vibration.
So let's dive into this queen energy. So the queen energy, not anyone can have access to her. That's what you're saying.
When you work on your fears and you reach that level called the queen, the universe then rebalances itself, and all those narcissists or those people who take advantage, they cannot find you. It's impossible.
Right.
They will not show up. You will not show up on their dating algorithm. You will not show up on their Instagram.
I agree with that 1,000%.
And so instead of trying to control 4 billion men,
or they might show up as a test, right? And then you might say, okay, I've learned this lesson before.
The test will only come if you still have the cavity. If you still have a fear or something that's unresolved, they will penetrate through the guards and reach you.
But in that moment when they reach you and you say, you know what? I recognize this. I'm not going there anymore.
Beautiful. You just passed the test.
You just passed the test and you've raised your frequency.
And the goal is to do that in 5 minutes, not in 5 years.
Correct. And where is there space in this conversation for we are all flawed and we all have fears and we're never going to, we aren't actually able, I don't believe, unless we're living in a cave somewhere, to reach the frequency of the creator all the time. And that's an exhausting pursuit anyway.
Correct. So there's many different levels to the souls, and our negativity is kind of like, it's not all at once. So you have one aspect of yourself now that you need to work on. And as you even make the effort to work on it, you're already tapping into this vibration. And maybe a year will go by before this next level or layer is revealed. So it's not all at once. It's not this exhausting process. It's a gradual, beautiful step by step where every single person right now listening probably knows the one thing about themselves that they should be working on and changing. It has been revealed. It is a fear. It is an insecurity. It is something that every time it comes up, you just lose control. You are not in control of your thoughts or your emotions anymore. So this is indication of a tikkun, of a correction. All you need to do is focus on that. Well, I see there's 100 things wrong with me. Do not go to these other 99 things. Focus on one thing, you get full immunity for all the other 99. Because light removes darkness. And when I work on one thing, I'm revealing light. And so the darkness goes away. And you are now in the miraculous zone. You are not obligated to work on 1,000 lifetimes of stuff. In fact, the negative side makes us think we need to be hard on ourselves and work on so many things, because the negative side also knows if you work on 100 things, you'll get nothing done. So my advice that my teachers and mentors gave me is you focus on one thing, and you never come from a place of guilt. You never come from a place of shame. If you make a mistake, you were meant to make that mistake. At that moment, take responsibility, love yourself, and move on.
And that person, if they can say to themselves, like, this was part of my soul contract, this is part of my destiny to have to deal with this one fear or insecurity, and this is my life's work.
Yeah, and have fun with it. Nothing is personal. All these men or women who came into your life, they were guided divinely by the Creator to do so. They didn't want to do it. They didn't want to hurt you, but it was deemed that the fastest way to your perfection was to come into your life.
Yeah, one thing that I help people with a lot because of my own experience is how to move on from heartbreak. And I always see, I often see people who are stuck in that victim mode of, maybe they were with someone who was actually quite terrible to them. Yeah. What would be your message to them on how to move on?
I made a post about this recently, that if you'll never be able to find the next relationship that is meant for you and make you happy, if you still hate your ex, or if you just blame your ex, or if you subconsciously wish harm to your ex, even if you hope that your ex doesn't find someone or find someone before you, all of those vibrations are opposite the vibration of the Creator. So you now aren't rising to your highest destiny. Your next soulmate relationship is waiting for you 10 levels up, let's say, 10 vibrations higher. One of the fastest ways to get there is to find a way, and we're not gonna talk about how to do that now. You talk about this, so many people talk about tools of doing this. But if you can bless your ex, you can love your ex without excusing what they did. We're not sitting here trying to say who's right or wrong. We just want to be the light. We just want to be like God, because that's how we get everything. We don't have opinions. We're not sitting here trying to understand who is right or wrong. We're not trying to, be activists. We just want to reach this higher. I just want to be happy. So the way to get there, the fastest way to getting to your wealth, because your vessel for wealth is also connected to your vessel for love. The fastest way to get your wealth that is owed to your soul, to know your purpose, and to get your soulmate, is to resolve your relationship with your ex, which means coming from a loving place, blessing them, praying for them actively actually to get married before you, praying for them to...
Oh boy, I think that's a big ask.
It's a big ask, but let's put it this way. What would we want our ex to do for us? Do you want your ex going around town speaking badly about you and hoping that you suffer? Or if you found out your ex was praying for you every day, going to a church, a synagogue, or a mosque, actually praying for you, Would you like that? Or would you say, no, I don't want anybody?
I think if I was like right in the root of my heartbreak, that would piss me off.
That would piss you off. I was at a restaurant last night. Yeah, exactly. I was at a restaurant last night and this woman comes over to me. She's like, I just started following your Instagram, taking your course a couple of weeks ago. And she's like, and your reel popped up about forgiving your ex. And I just said, fuck. She's like, I don't want to, like, she was like at the table, like jumping up and down. She's like, I'm not ready for that. And I said, look, no one's shaming you. All that reel was supposed to do is show you the fastest path to all these other things you want. You can take whatever path you want. And you're not doing anything wrong by not forgiving your ex. But when you reach that vibration of praying for him, the next guy will appear.
See, so this is where I agree with that, but this is an added element. I think it's more about forgetting and less about forgiving.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is, like, for me and my path, when the catastrophe happened for me, like 11 years ago, when my ex-husband, I don't know if you know the story, but he left. He texted me over the phone. It was bad. And so, and I'm fully 100.
What was your husband's name?
Steve.
Steve.
So I'm fully, which was my stepfather's name as well, who I was very close with. I'm fully free of that story and have been for years. When I think of him, I'm not praying for his happiness, but I'm not praying for his unhappiness. I don't want him to be unhappy.
Sure.
To be free of him completely in my consciousness, I had to focus on myself. That was my spiritual path.
It was a process you had to go through.
I had to really focus on developing my sense of self and certainty, and I had a path. Here I am today that I had no idea I was supposed to be on, but the meaning that I give my story with my ex is that if I had the husband that I wanted, if I had the father who I wanted, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
Correct.
So that's the meaning that I give it, and that gives me a sense of freedom.
This episode is sponsored by Galatea. You know the feeling when you finish an incredible love story? Now, some of you are not going to relate to this at all, but I know there's many of you who do. Like, your heart is still racing, you're thinking about it. It's just, your imagination is running wild. A good book is great, but what if you had an endless library of delicious romance at your fingertips? With Galatea, you don't just read, you get swept away in every stolen glance and every heart-pounding touch you can't stop thinking about. You know who you are. You know that you love this. Galatea is a reading app where anyone craving a little me time can dive into a library of romance stories that leave you feeling recharged and fulfilled and very entertained. Galatea is home to original series and standalone stories with an exclusive catalog of best-selling authors, with new chapters dropping daily, so there is always something new to explore. And over 30 million people have fallen in love with reading on Galatea. Join now to indulge in stories that are just amazing and fun. Right now, Galatea is offering our listeners an extra 25% off on top of an already irresistibly affordable subscription when you go to galatea.com/Jillian. That's GALATEA.com/Jillian to indulge in unlimited stories for even less. galatea.com/Jillian.
I think it's more about you just don't care anymore. And that the forgiveness comes from just not caring anymore. And the freedom comes from forgetting. And so I would love to hear your take on because we can't force forgiveness, but what we can do is take the steps to let go, to move on, to rewrite the narrative, to do all those things, and then they just become less relevant.
Sure.
And as they lose relevance, we forget, and in that forgetting, we are free.
Sure. So you're saying something very beautiful, and I'll share. There's the pain, then there's the forgetting, and then eventually, if you can, you get to the loving, the forgiving.
Okay.
Right. And why that's beautiful is everyone has a certain time and process by which that occurs. And the faster you get to that final destination, which is the most powerful vibration, then the whole universe can treat you the same way, because the universe will treat you the way what you put out there. So if there is a part, which is probably the biggest part in most people's lives, where we're maybe even just at the forgetting, but not that extra step of actively praying for them, loving them, and I'll share a story about how to even get there. That will just be, that final stretch will be a level of energy that now the universe can't give to you. And so if you're talking about what is the northern star here, it's to get to that level. Now, what's interesting is you cannot get to a level you do not desire to get to. And there may be many people listening right now saying, yo, Jillian, I actually reached that same level as you and I feel so free because I finally forgot about it. Now I'm sharing, hey, there's one more peak to this mountain. And a lot of people may not have even known that existed or that they should strive for it. But maybe just by hearing it, now they can have a desire for that. Just by having a desire to get to that place, the universe will then send you the right people, the right education, the right Instagram reel that will give you the unique tool you need to get there. And now you have manifested a greater level of success, love, and prosperity. I would say that the highest levels of true prosperity, where there's blessing in it, not just money. A lot of people have money, but blessed prosperity comes from that final mile. And you know something else, often your children become very blessed. Even if it's unborn children in the future, children receive blessings and they receive protection when parents can get to that final level of not just forgetting, but elevating even to forgiveness and love. And I'll share one more thing. Steve, it's very interesting about Steve, because you said your stepdad was also Steve. Mm-hmm. So it says that the name of a person draws the soul of the person. So it's, for example, if...
my ex-husband was like my real father, not like my stepfather.
He was like your real father, right?
Yes.
So there's obviously some kind of
not
soul.
in any way personality-wise, but the deeper core wounds.
And what's your father's name?
Stan.
Stan. Okay. Also very similar, right?
Yeah.
So Stan, Steve, and Steve, imagine before your soul came to this world, they got together with the Creator. And the Creator said, listen, Jillian is going to change. Her soul is so great. It's going to affect, I mean, you've already affected hundreds of millions of people. So you're already there, but I think you're just getting started. So 2 billion souls are going to change their consciousness because of Jillian. The light that she's going to give 2 billion souls is so great that we need something to prepare her to have a vessel that is that big. So 16 ounces of water needs a 16-ounce vessel. The three of you are going to play an integral role. Each of you need to participate in helping Jillian become the person that she needs to be for the world. Now, Steve, your ex-husband, said he actually fully corrected his soul, and he wasn't even meant to come down to this world. Steve's like, you know what? I will take upon myself this maybe narcissistic or whatever it is qualities, and I will play this role. As painful as it is, Creator, now that you have shown me Jillian's destiny, I volunteer to come to this world, to guide through the process. I'm going to hate every second of it, but I see what the end goal is, and so I will volunteer to come to this world. And so
I didn't volunteer to go into his world?
Well, this you also did. So if I had Steve here, there's a whole nother narrative happening.
Okay.
And everything is such a perfect creation. I am so simplifying it.
Yes.
Not doing justice to how divine this is.
But continue, please. Yes.
So this is like a very, very beautiful story. So Steve, and Stan are all working together. Stan's like, well, what's my role? So the other Steve's like, listen, I'll be the other type of Steve. I'll be the nurturing Steve.
Yeah.
And so this dynamic really created this beautiful vessel that is called Jillian that can now bring this incredible wisdom to the world. And you popped up on my feed like a few years ago, and I was drawn in by your energy. So what is this energy? It's not just because you're talented. It's not because you have something to say. There's an energy that flows through you because of the spiritual vessel you've created that Steve, and Stan have helped forge. And here's something else. With the minute we lose appreciation for something, we also lose the benefit and gift that came from it. And so the reason why it's important to bless and appreciate Steve, not because of that, what he did, it's the whole picture. The more we can appreciate Steve, the more wisdom you are going to have on every podcast, the more divine thoughts you will have for your next book. The more, every time someone goes up and picks up your book, sees your book on the shelf, they're going to feel an energy. They're going to be like, I don't even know what this is. I need this. Even if they don't know who you are. That energy they're going to feel from the book is going to come from your appreciation beyond logic for Steve.
Yeah, well, I did thank him at the end of my book. He was in my acknowledgement.
Beautiful.
It was a little witty, but yes.
Yeah. So again, these are all stages. We go from kind of like a stubborn thank you to it will get to a genuine one.
No, it's actually genuine. I say all the time. I mean, I would not. It's all about for me. It's all about changing the meaning and meaning. I would not be here today had I not had that experience. And I think I love the feeling of I think it's a very satisfying feeling, an interesting feeling to run into someone who you once thought you could never live without. And then you're like, oh, if I were to meet you today, I would not be attracted to you. Mm-hmm. To me, that's a signal of huge growth. Like I would literally, if I were to meet him today, there's no way I would date him. I wouldn't be drawn to his energy.
Right. Because you've elevated.
Because I've elevated. And that's a great, great feeling. It's also an interesting lesson. And my mom used to always tell me, especially because women I think men don't process their breakups enough. And I think women overprocess and stay stuck too long. And, women, the crying over the prick who broke their heart. And it's like, you're not going to care about this person soon. You're going to, how many times, maybe not you because you got married young, but there's a lot of times where we look back and you're like, oh my God, I cried over that person. So I think that's an interesting lesson. I know we only have a few minutes left and I wanted to get to money.
Oh my gosh.
I know that's a very big topic, but maybe we can cover it a little bit.
How would you like to proceed?
Well, we talked about this idea that, our belief systems sort of shape our reality. And so if we're raised with a certain belief system around money, it's not going to flow as much.
That's right.
So what are some tips that you can share with people? And again, we may have to do another episode where we are just talking about money.
In the short amount of time we have, obviously we can expand on this later. I'll start with one concept that I teach around the manifestation, which is everyone is a founder or a CEO of something. Whether you're a parent, you are the CEO of the house.
Yes.
In your business, you have people who work for you. You have managers and agents and assistants, and you have an org chart. We all have people who work under us, and these people then help us create products or help us put a message out to the world. Our children, in many ways, are kind of under us energetically. We're responsible for them. So energy flows through us to them, to the product, to the world. And the consciousness and the belief system of the founder, of the CEO, will determine the vessel of energy that can come through. So I was speaking with the founder recently, and they're doing a certain amount of revenue. And let's say the revenue was 10 million. And she's like, I want to get from 10 million to 12 million next year. I said, well, based on what I see with your business, you can get from 10 million to 50 million next year. I saw it clearly. And she said, well, I don't see that. All I see is from 10 to 12. And why is it that she sees 2 million growth and I see 40 million growth?
Tell me why.
And by the way, if I brought maybe Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or someone, irrespective of, politics and everything, just from their business point of view, I brought Elon Musk and said, what do you see? He would say, I see 40 billion.
Right.
So where's this vision coming from? This vision is coming from your belief system about receiving, your belief system about what you deserve, your belief system about what's possible. And based on your belief system about all of those things, the universe will then grant you the vision, the opportunity, the wherewithal of how to get there. So that is the first starting point. There's a reason why sometimes CEOs get paid hundreds of millions of dollars to run a company where they're not even the smartest person. They're not even the person who's been there. In fact, sometimes they're brought from another company and there's 100,000 employees under them. Why are you paying $100 million to the CEO? What are they bringing? Their ability to be a vessel for what is possible, is drawing in the reality to move this company to its next level. And so I will start there, meaning, what do you believe you deserve to receive? What do you believe is possible?
The possible part,
The possible part is the beginning of how energy can come. The universe, you can work yourself to the bone and work hard and suffer and grind, but no energy can come in if you believe it's not possible. So if Elon Musk believes that it's possible, and not just possible, but easy to colonize Mars, for him it's just like, I'm gonna go make myself a latte or make myself a cup of coffee. What that takes for me to do, he thinks, colonizing Mars, that's what we're gonna do. He will attract employees, he will attract engineers, he will actually draw wisdom into the minds of the engineers of how to do that. And so no matter where you put him, he'll figure it out. So the point of all this is, wherever you are in your life, and even the way your children will be raised is what you believe about the way they can be raised, what you believe about them. The final thing I'll say is, the most powerful thing for a man, spiritually, and this is from 25 years of relationship coaching and being a man myself and talking to other men, the most powerful thing for a man is when a woman believes in him. When you believe in his endless...
Or his partner, right? Because it could be a
or
male...
his partner. Absolutely. And by the way, this goes with two men being together, two women being together, because there's always male and female energies on a soul level, even if it's two women.
Yeah.
So if you believe in your partner...
Oh, big time.
It is, as opposed to what we call...
That's what men are looking for, right?
Men are most attracted to two things. One, someone that believes in them.
Not trying to change them, not trying to fix them, not overgiving, not sacrificing herself or himself for him, but believes in him.
Believes in him, believes in the way he brings light to the world, believe in his power and his good qualities, because men are so intrinsically insecure. We're so, there's so much that we're not even processing. There's the reason why 90% of my seminars are women. Women are naturally more spiritual and they're naturally working on themselves.
Yeah.
So men have a lot more negativity they bring to this world, so there's more insecurity. But when you believe in a man, then he has the power to draw that reality to get there. That's number one.
But please tell all the women who get attracted to a man's potential who's actually not going anywhere, or that's a different thing. Can you just quickly differentiate?
Explain that. Attracted to his potential.
Well, rather than seeing the man who's right in front of her.
They see the man they can fix or
that
push
they
to
can
become.
Groom and change and reform. So we don't want to, we want to see someone's potential and believe in their potential, but we don't want to be in a relationship with someone who we don't fully accept their process now.
Correct.
We don't want to be in a relationship with someone who we feel we need to reform in order for us to be happy.
Correct. That need to reform is coming from our own fears and insecurities. Meaning if I had transformed that, I would have no need to reform that.
Okay.
Which is really powerful what you said.
Okay, so continue. So men, yes, believe in potential.
Yes, and the second thing is, a man is always... I had a group of women that I did a workshop with, and I asked each woman what to... Finish the sentence. Men are. And
was it grim?
Well, I do this in every one of my seminars, and it's profound what comes up. So one woman's like, men are narcissistic.
I knew the narcissism.
Men are incapable. Men are disappointing. One woman said, men are absolutely amazing. And she's manifesting a lot more men in her life. So I asked her, I said, how's dating for you? She's like, oh my God, dating's so, I have so much fun dating. I mean, and it's not that she was any less or more attractive than any other woman.
Yeah, it's not about that.
It's not about that. She's like, I meet the most incredible men and, I'm dating and it's great. And the other women are like, no, I don't meet that many men. They don't approach me.
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Men can feel, right? And women can feel the same thing. It goes both ways. But if I feel a woman has a chip on her shoulder about men, then immediately I'm feeling it, whether I realize it or not, that I'm being judged. I'm not going to be believed in. I'm not going to be supported. And so I'm going to be avoidant of that. You will attract men who are divinely sent to help you break that, meaning they will mirror that to you so much so that you become disgusted by it, and then you open yourself up to change. But the truth is, your belief system about men is what you will encounter. And so I've been helping these women just really say the best words, verbally say the best words. And when you talk about your ex, you're also talking about men, because let's put it this way. If I'm hiring somebody in my company and I say, how was your last job? Oh, I hated the company. I hated my boss. My boss is an asshole. My boss is this. My boss is that. Do I feel comfortable as a boss?
No.
Okay. So if I meet a girl and she's telling me she hates her ex, do I feel comfortable now taking this new role in her life?
I mean, that's what I tell people. I tell women all the time, or people who date men. If he's talking badly about his ex and she's crazy, well, what does that say about him?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So us getting to a place, we really truly see the divine gift that every person sent. We're not taking things personally anymore. We are holding space for even the people who hurt us the most and realizing, there was a reason, there was a lesson learned, like only focusing on the good, then everyone's going to focus on your good. And only good is going to come to you. If you align yourself with the light, you get light. If you align yourself with the darkness, even you have 1,000 reasons to align yourself with that, it's going to be darkness. So some people say, well, what about processing my pain? And what is this toxic positivity? Quite the opposite. You are allowed to choose to feel pain, choose to feel sad, choose to feel and mourn a loss, but that's you choosing it. That's very proactive. The problem becomes when you're living your day and intrusive thoughts come to give you anxiety, doubts, and fears. When it's coming from the outside, that's when it's negative. That's when it's lowering your vibration. But if you took 30 minutes every day or 1 hour before bed and say, I'm going to feel the pain. I'm going to feel all the hurt. I'm going to go through that. That is a very positive experience because you are choosing to do it. If you go to therapy and you choose to heal, that's powerful.
I love what you just said, because that's actually one of the strategies that I use with people, which is I want you to consciously mourn and grieve and feel the pain. I want you to meditate on the pain, and I want you to put a timer, and I want you to feel everything. But then the rest of the day,
you cannot be involved in that.
You can't be involved in that. And then you come and then you have that meditation the next day and you can just feel your pain.
And it's a time that you allocate.
And you have control over it. Also, you purge it, you process it, and then you don't feel so controlled by it the rest of the day.
Jillian, the sages wrote that thousands of years ago, so you channeled that.
Well, I mean, I learned that from my mentor, so there you go. David, we're going to have to do a part 2.
Please. Yeah. Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about your offerings, because I know that there are many people listening to this right now who want to learn from you.
I appreciate that. I have, there's 3 main ways that I bring this wisdom out to the world. And I do it 100% for the benefit of just bringing it out there. It's not to monetize for myself in any way. I have my Instagram. Every day I'm posting some small clips of wisdom. I have my podcast, David Ghiyam Podcast. It's on all the channels. I do give live seminars. So if you go to my website, davidghiyam.com, I might be coming to your town. But I think the one way that probably over 1 million people around the world have taken is an online course I created called yourinfinitesoul.com. It's yourinfinitesoul.com. And I made it a pay what you feel is right. So people can pay $1, people can pay anything they want. This way, it is their free will to kind of embark on this journey. And I want to make it completely like financially accessible for people so that they don't ever feel that there's a financial reason why they can't learn this wisdom and kind of go on a path of miracles.
Oh, that's wonderful. And we will definitely put that in the show notes.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much.
I can't wait to do more with you. This was wonderful.
I know, me too, David. Seriously, I think this has been a very illuminating conversation, and I'm so glad that we were able to have it. Thank you.